Public Works will come to order. All 5 members are present. And we will start with number 19, a communication from the city engineer regarding a driveway permit application at 805 South 72nd. Pete, is there anything you'd like to share? This is for the Hank Aaron Trail, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know, you probably can't see this, but there is a driveway there that goes to nowhere. We're just talking about reopening that and closing the one up further north, which they're using, because the trail is going to go right here. Here's the Hank Aaron. We're going to put this new connection in. We don't want all this traffic interfering with the bikes. So the driveway will be relocated down here. It's an existing driveway that they're not using. So instead of here, they're going to be down here. Then they won't conflict with the bikes when they're coming in and out. So I think it'll be safer.
Chairman, may I? I'm not recording.
Oh, he told me last time that doesn't matter.
Okay, all right, just wanted to be sure.
That's last time I asked him.
Pete,
Is there any other questions?
does this have anything to do, or we're just going to, the encroachments and the adverse possession that's discussed?
Yes, so we've been meeting monthly with City of Milwaukee, because this is the City of Milwaukee, and the DNR, and with Dawes. Dawes has agreed they're going to move all their junk off of the DNR land. They're going to build a new fence that's going to get rid of the ugly fence that's there. And yeah, they're going to kind of redo their exit so that they're not coming through here past.
None of it our problem.
Yeah, and it's actually all in the City of Milwaukee.
Okay. I'm, I have a warm one.
Yes, you do.
Right on the track.
Okay, any questions from the committee members?
No question.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Actually, I just realized it's to get placed on file, right, through communication?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Item 20, ordinance to change start time for night parking restrictions from 3 a.m. to 2 a.m. in the morning.
Chairman Rowe?
Yes, Alderman Grisham, go ahead.
I'm a bit confused. I know Alderman Vitale had brought this forward prior to our committee of the whole meeting, where we actually discussed the new parking ordinances altogether. I think that was a topic of discussion, and if I can recall, Chief Mitchell had presented that because establishments are open already past that 2 o'clock mark on the weekends, and it is written in our ordinance specifically that if you are doing business after that hour of even 3 a.m., I believe, if I'm correct, you don't get a citation. So I guess I'm going to ask you, Alderman Vitale, what the purpose is. Kind of give us some background, if you could, as to your reasoning behind the change.
Initially was to base what really occurred, not just this last winter, but previously, we do experience, like in the first aldermanic district, in the second aldermanic district, where many people, of course, they don't move their vehicles. It caused a lot of hardship to the plows in many areas, really on the east end, and it caused a lot of inconvenience, additional cost, because many times the plow not only go the second time, but many times it happens about the third time to plow that east side of the street or the west side, because people didn't move their cars. And that's one of the biggest things I feel 2 a.m. will be more effective. And I feel, I don't think it will impact really much the closure of the time of the business, the taverns, we're talking about maybe half hour, I don't think it'd be the case that anybody would be cited for, I don't think, I feel that. But that's the only reason I brought that forward, because there was a lot of complaints from a director of public works and Tim Lice from the assistant director of public works just as well, based on the fact that the guys that have to go more, not just once, go through the second time and third time. That's what I feel on the east end, particularly the first and the second, they're the worst. And that's what I felt, that 2 a.m. maybe will alleviate some of the issues,
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
I'll go with you and then Alderman Grisham.
If I remember correctly, and I thought Chief Mitchell said they couldn't support a 2 o'clock start time. They could only support a 3 o'clock with the parking checkers. And I thought that's why we ended up with the 3 o'clock. Am I correct on that?
I believe, if I may speak, I believe that we enacted other things to mitigate the issue. One being the change in the parking the next day on the other side of the street, or in conjunction with the odd and even.
Extend the hours.
Yeah, so I don't know, like I said, the reason why I asked why it was being brought back is I thought we had the discussion. I believe Chief Mitchell did indicate that it most likely would not be enforced. So my concern was is if Pete Daniels was going to do new signage, we have to think forward really long and hard about this, because how much is it going to cost us to change the signage?
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, when I was asking just to do this, emergency thoroughfares, I think that was upwards towards $30,000. So, I mean, for 1 hour that may not be enforced, we have to be very mindful how we're spending the money. So that would be my 2 cents. I don't know
Like I
if,
said,
Pete, you have
me,
anything to add.
Either way, we can stick it with 3 a.m., I think, until 6 a.m. to me would be a good
So
time.
you'd be fine with the 3
Yeah.
to 6 and keep it
Yeah, we
as
can
that?
place it on file. Right?
Okay. Move to place on file?
Second.
Okay.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. My discussion part was, what was your recollection? I don't recall which way we went on that 2 and 3, to be quite honest.
No, just like
It
you
was
said,
okay.
it's exactly what you just said.
Okay. So it's been moved and seconded to stay at.
Place on file.
Place on file.
Yes.
Place on file.
Right, the two, we're staying with that. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
All right, the
We're adjourned.
License and Health Committee comes in sessions,
Pete.
and we have every members present. And first of all, I would like to, of course, we take item 26 for request of Polly Pop's Eatery at 8031 West Kingsville Avenue. But why you here again tonight? I mean,
No, we'll start with welcome, Polly.
I like
Why are you here?
This is the first one, so they're like, you have to come here so we can put you through the ringer,
Besides
is
the
what they
point.
said, so.
Yeah, I would like to say that you already are about 200 feet from the neighbors south of you, right? Or
South of me is all my own property.
yeah,
So and west of me is over 200 feet.
Yeah.
East of me, there's like one house that's within that. So when I do these, I check all the boxes to make sure I know what's going on, because there's some terminology on like number 1 that I wasn't sure of, so I added the fee in just to make sure, because if it clarifies for me, it'll clarify for everybody else. And not gonna lie, this was the hardest application that I've filled in 18 years. So there's
Not an easy, yeah.
no, it is. It's really, it was like 5 hours for 2 pages, and I'm like going, I'm looking up words on the internet, which I've got a pretty decent vocabulary, but
It was only 5 hours. We got to make more time.
Apparently, I don't know
So-
grammar.
yeah, I mean, just to go through and do it. So I understand where everybody's coming from, but and it's from my perspective, it was one of the harder things to.
Chairman Vitale?
yeah.
Before we go further with this, I didn't get an opportunity to discuss this further besides with Alderwoman Keene. One of the things we discussed in putting together this framework, so to speak, is we were going to add the fact that there should be no more than 3 events in a week if there's amplified music.
Okay.
I know we had a difficult time, and how would we put that together?
Sure.
And I'm still a little confused, so I had questions, and I actually was going to look to amend this, because what I think is going to end up happening, because this was part of the discussion, that there shouldn't be more than 3 events in that week that has amplified music, because we're going to run into issues with it. Either that, or what you're going to end up doing is having Polly and other businesses come forward, and those are the exceptions we're going to put forth anyhow, because we kind of agreed upon that. So I think we need to look at the structure of this, rather than having each independent owner come in and then us impose this. because that's pretty much what we're probably going to look at, as far as I remember. Maybe we're going to look individually, but I thought we were putting framework together, and that was to alleviate these issues, to fast track it. Otherwise, it's going to delay you and have you come in. So I was a little confused on that too, because I thought initially, Paulie, that you wanted to have 3 live
3 to
music
4.
events.
Yeah, it
But-
all depends. Like some of them, if there's no amplified music, as far as is that bands or is that like a jukebox? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because there were some things that we did for licensing to put the brewer game on outside because we had additional seating for food out in the tent. So some people had requested that.
Yeah, and Attorney
You know.
Decker, if you don't mind, I think he did give the description of what the difference between, like, that type of music versus maybe a band.
Okay.
So I have to say, Paul, I did an excellent job filling out the application.
Oh, hey. That's because it took 5 hours.
He nailed it. He nailed it. So basically the idea was to create a framework in which the council could basically give a rubber stamp for anyone who wants to come in and just follow the standard rules. And then give these other options that the council could apply to a special circumstance. So what Polly's done is he's come in and asked for exceptions for contiguity, which is fine, but then the 200-foot location within a residential building and the 200-foot noise exception is also, he also wants to extend it past Labor Day to the end of November. So those are the big exceptions in this case. And by requesting those, he's got the full option now. What the council could do then is place a condition on that license saying 3 events a week. You could just change the law to say 3 events per week is the maximum. But then you might restrict someone who maybe they want to do a single week of 5 events and be done, and it's going to violate that ordinance. So the idea would be to create the ideal one that can be approved quickly, then create the maximum flexibility, and then let the council pull back from that as the circumstances would justify or warrant. So in this case, like for example, there'd be an exemption from the 200-foot noise barrier. One exception or one condition I'd recommend placing is how far out can that noise go?
And those are some of the things, it's just like State Fair. If the wind is blowing to the west, and you know, like I said, last year, we had one of the decibel meters that we would go around every half hour from here to here to here to here and track it so that we knew what was kind of acceptable. We knew after the first week, okay, the bass is too much. This is happening, or the drums are too much. So I mean, my guys really hardcore did everything in our and we have it pointed towards State Fair so that 99% of the stuff, does that. But
Paulie, can I ask what your readings were?
usually, like for the, we kept it under 92 decibels because through the health department, it was like 97 is the recommended for one of those. And that was about, we tried to keep it 75 feet from a vocal point or a sound point is where we took the readings from. So we would know, okay, well, it's 92 here. So we gotta keep it within that. So my guys knew that, and there was one gentleman that didn't want to adhere to that, and he was no longer employed by us.
Okay. I do have a question, and I guess this is just going off of what you just said as a 92 reading, because I just know our ordinance is at 60 or 66 decibels.
The health department, I pulled it off their website and I talked to
Did
the health
you?
department.
Because we
Yeah.
were just looking at
Yeah.
CHR Hanson.
60 is like talking from me to you. It's not super, it's really, really quiet, so.
Okay.
So-
All right. Well, I won't go off on that part, but I just wanted understanding kind of if we were going to take a look at this framework and if we were going to restructure it.
I just had something to elaborate
Sure.
on that, if that's okay. So to elaborate on what Kale mentioned, if somebody would just be applying straight up without any exceptions, we just put it on the consent agenda. And then for the exceptions, I think that the council would want to have these discussions
We
with
do.
people. What I wanted to clarify was the one-off events, so if somebody's having one-day events, is that something that you also want to bring to the committee, or because it's a limited time period, it could just.
I don't think there's a need for it.
I wouldn't think there'd be a need for it.
Wasting time,
I
really.
guess it's trying to get used to how this is going to work, and from my understanding, I thought, Polly, you're going to have 3 events per week is what it was. Now you're adding a 4th,
It
a
looked
bike
like it.
night?
No, I mean, we're doing Monday and some Saturdays and some Sundays. I mean, Saturdays and Sundays, we generally do 3 to 7, 4 to 8 at the most. So it's not, we reeled it back because we were told 9 o'clock last time, so we wanted to be within 2 hours that everything was done. So to respect the neighbors, to respect what was obviously given to us to be able to work within the framework. We have Mondays, and I mean, whatever it is decided. I mean, Fridays for me, I have a big parking lot that people park in, so it's more dangerous for me to do stuff in the parking lot. Saturday and Sunday, I can block off the parking lot. Sunday, I have a bike, or Monday, I have a bike thing. So it is, I mean.
I would be comfortable with putting it to 3 live music events per week. If you wanted to do something else, Kale, would that fit into the same criteria if he was playing a, brewer game outside? Is that in the same category of the sound issues or not? I mean,
By default, it doesn't matter what the source of the sound would be. They'd be 200 feet unless there's an exemption, but he's
Okay.
requested the exemption. So without any further conditions that the council put on, 7 days a week, he'd be unlimited on the amount of noise that can be produced.
okay.
That's why you would have to make a decision on either how far out you want the noise to go or the number of events. So if you make live music, then the Brewers game would not count. It would be truly live music.
Okay.
However you want to place those conditions is fine.
Yeah, I mean, sorry.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
So if Paulie decided to have a TV outside with some speakers that enhanced it a little bit, that would not fall under amplified.
Well, it would be amplified noise, but it wouldn't be
But it'd be
amplified
amplified
music.
music, okay.
So it all depends how you word your conditions.
And it would also be depending on where the sound is pointed towards, because right now, when you're doing bands, it's pointed towards State Fair, and being a guy who was in a band, I know how the sound works, and the neighbors behind you are not gonna have as much of a problem with hearing it. You're gonna have your residue, but you're not gonna hear anywhere near what you'd hear if you're out in front, because it's going towards State Fair. So I'm not concerned about that.
Yeah, and we ran it last year, and like I said, we respected everybody and worked on it. So that's why we've always tried to be a partner, like I said, in the past. So we're in this for the long haul. We've been here 18 years. I'm hopefully not going anywhere soon, but yeah. And some of them, some of them are 1- and 2-piece bands.
Paulie,
that we do.
you talk about you cease the music by 9 p.m., right?
Yeah, generally.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really foresee any problem even with 3 days. If you guys want to go 3 days, even 4 days, I think would be.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Rebecca, could you clarify somewhat more, a little bit, what the exception request consists of?
They're on the second page.
Okay.
There's a number of them. The exceptions, you want the ones that he's applying for?
Right.
Okay. So the first one is contiguous. That
Okay,
means right next to, so you don't need that.
Good.
The second one is being close to a residential premises. So if you're within 200 feet of a residence, then he's applying for that exception because he is. Okay.
Yeah, the one that, the duplex we own.
It pays more if he's granted this exception?
Right.
$150
Right.
for that one.
Okay.
And then,
Yeah, I didn't want to go on the other person's property to measure it, so I just assumed.
the next one he's applying for is the exception from the sound limitations. So that's,
That's a $25 one?
that is $150 plus $25 a week.
Okay.
And then the normal duration is from the Saturday of Memorial Day till the Monday of Labor Day. He's asking to go to November.
Okay, and if
So
we get
those are
complaints
the-
from the neighborhood, what happens then?
Can call him back
You
in.
could revoke it.
We can revoke it at any
Yeah.
time.
So if the standards under 125.12 are met, you could revoke actually the entire licenses that would have to go. It wouldn't be just the exterior premises, it would be the whole license. So there's an incentive for him to work well with the neighbors and to avoid that.
I see.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair?
So when you're saying the noise level, there's still a limit on the noise, right? There's still a limit on the decibel level.
Only under Chapter 7 of the code. So it would be a totally separate section. You could, if approved under this section, the issue with it is the noise. The noise ordinance allows the council to grant exceptions for concerts and louder events and things like that. So by applying for an exemption from the sound limitations, in theory, he could argue that there is no limitation for him. That's why I'd recommend the council put on some sort of limitation, like 500 feet away is how far it could go, or a decibel limit from a certain distance away. I would advise you to do that to ensure it's clear not only for the council, but also for Polly.
Well, and that's why I was getting at with the decibel. When you
Yeah, we self-imposed last year
meter,
because,
he was under 100 decibels in his entire run that he did it, and that's where I'm looking at staying. I don't want an unlimited, because, geez, you could put big enough amplifiers, and you
Oh, yeah.
200 decibels.
right,
For clarity's purposes, I would recommend having some sort of limitation, however you want to phrase that. And even if Polly wants to say what he did last year, you could make that the condition for this as well.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, all right.
Okay, I think it was pretty well outlined as to what Polly is looking for. There's 4 exceptions as I read it. I would propose that exception number 1, as Cale would say, cannot go beyond 500 feet. Decibels cannot go above 100. I would not mind, the reason I asked you is how many events you're having is because I looked at your Facebook page, and it looks to me like you have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and you're adding all the way through the end of September already, a bike night from 5 to 8:30.
I do, yeah, Fridays I do inside, Saturdays I do inside at night, and Sundays. Last year I did Saturdays afternoons and Sunday afternoons. That way I had time to shift, plus if it's done by 8 o'clock at night, it's pretty much gonna be quieter than, bikes and stuff like that are louder at 8 o'clock at night than whatever I.
Right, which is thoughtful on your part. So my proposal would be, as I said, 500 feet, 100 decibels, no more than 3 nights per week with amplified music outside, and that it is only within the parameter of Memorial Day to Labor Day.
Okay. The only reason because I didn't want to come back, I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
It was
You've been a frequent flyer.
a testing, thing.
Yeah.
So last year we stopped after the first week of October because it was so bad. But we wanted to, like Harvest Fest is usually the 28th, so it was kind of like a weekend after that that we would have had. But Harvest Fest got canceled, so some of the bands had contacted me, can we play because we're not playing at Harvest Fest.
Right, and I
So that was
don't
kinda
think
like
it
a
would be an
summer
issue if you
wrap.
came back and said, hey, I want to do Harvest Fest.
Okay.
Or if you even want to include that tonight, I think we could do that and say, okay, the Harvest Fest weekend. However, that would be my proposal. If you would accept that, that would be fine by me, and we can, if anybody else has any feedback or adjustments to that, I think that's reasonable.
Quite a-
Chair, just to clarify the way decibels are measured, it has to be from a location. So what he was doing was 92 decibels from 75 feet away from the source of the sound.
Okay, so then that has to be adjusted because it was 500 feet that I mentioned.
Correct. So if you would do 92 decibels from 75 feet, that way it's consistent for staffing.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, it works great because you can just go this way. We went east, we went south, and we went west.
Okay.
Because north was State Fair anyhow, so it really didn't, and where I have it, it's blocked by a bunch of things, so it works all nice, so.
Okay. Are you okay with,
If we can go just 100, just to make it an even number, then I can put it on my sheet and go, okay, these are the readings it has to be at 1 o'clock on the east side. This is where it is. This is where it is. This is where it is. And a decibel meter was what, $100? So I would maybe do a form like that for everybody. I mean, it's just a spreadsheet that we
Right.
did. So every half hour, the show's 3 hours, so you're taking 6 readings, basically. So
now is the 3 nights per week helpful to you? Or do you want, I mean, obviously, if I say you want 4, we'd give you 4.
If I would do 4, it would be, we have Tuesday Troubadours, okay, so that's a 1 and 2 person band. That's all it is, and it was, we have a radio show inside, so I was gonna take that and put it outside just in case it's nice, you know, but otherwise, we have them going from 8 to 11. Well, 11 is the new 3 in the morning. So if
Yeah.
I can combine them, you know, a little bit like that, that would be nice.
Okay,
And
I'd be fine with that if everyone else would be fine with that. I don't know how I would propose that. Is there any
Is
more
there-
discussion?
And during the
Hall.
week, you can't be past 10 o'clock anyways.
You've also
So
asked for
your
an
11 event
extension.
would have to be
Right,
inside.
we have it till,
I
yeah,
know.
it's till 9, so I try to scale back an hour and go from there.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not past Labor Day.
I was concerned with you asking for an extension through November.
Yeah, like I said, last year, the first week in November was 80 degrees, and for me to come back, so probably by the time I would have to fill something out.
But
The application's
proposal
gonna be
she's making
different.
has to do with Labor Day.
Right.
That'd be the last.
Right.
last.
Yeah, unless I would come back and do it, so.
So would we look at amending these exceptions, or?
Well, go ahead.
So, Mr. Chair, the way I do it then is I would say that you are granting the authorizations for the exception to residential location, like distance away, proximity, and also sound limitations with the condition you stated that the sound cannot travel 500 feet into a residential area. And then also 100 decibels, 75 feet away from the source of sound.
Yeah, 100.
Or 100, is that what it was?
Yep, yep,
100
yep.
decibels.
100.
100 decibels, 75
100.
feet away from source of sound. And then no more than, was it 3 or 4 events per week?
That was open-ended. I said 3 at first, and if he wants to do that Troubadour Tuesday, I would not be opposed to saying 4
I
events.
think the main concern is a full-blown band, right? That's the main
And
concern.
that's generally like, you know, Monday nights would be a little bit, you know, blues and rock.
Yep.
And Saturdays and Sundays, the bigger bands are afternoons.
Right.
So we try to get them out. People aren't going out past 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock at night anyhow. So these people are starting to go back to work a little bit if they are. So if they're out till 7 o'clock, they're home by 8 o'clock, everything's, you know, decent, so. We
You have to
appreciate
make
it.
an exception about Labor Day as well.
I was going to get there as soon as I got the answer on 3 or 4.
It would be 4.
4, we'll go with 4.
4 events a week. The first exception that he applied for contiguous, I think that's just going to be a refund because it's unnecessary.
And how it was written, so what does that mean?
Contiguous means right next to.
Like, for example, if there was an alley or something that was splitting you and another parcel you owned, you might want to make your other parcel across the alley part of your premises, even though they're not next to each other.
Okay, so what I have is my building, and I have the alley that was vacated, and I have the duplex, and I have the parking lot, so I should put them all under one just in case.
You are already contiguous, you're good to go.
So,
You don't
okay.
need that exception, is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
It's all,
already there.
your permanent
Okay.
premises is extended directly to your temporary. You're not trying to find a satellite location somewhere else.
Okay.
So that one is not necessary. But the one that the council is proposing rejecting is the last one you applied for, and instead making you go to the standard Memorial Day to Labor Day approval for tonight. And if you wanted to have an event like Harvest Fest at the end of October, you could actually fill out the same application, but for a single event. And it's just a $75 fee for that one event at one time. All the authorizations would be included in that, though.
Okay. Yeah, and then, I forgot, there was one question I had.
So did you save this form on your computer?
I think it's gonna change. I
Because you
think
just
it may
edited it
change.
for the next time.
Right. No, but on the bottom of one of the forms, it says this other form may be necessary, this other form may be necessary, and this other form may be necessary.
If
So-
you don't have
But wait,
public
there's more.
entertainment, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if you don't have a public entertainment license for inside or your music license, you
Okay,
already
so,
have that.
okay,
Special event permit, that would be if you're impeding the right of
street
way.
or something, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So if the concert is so large that the streets can get blocked or something.
Yeah, we
or if
block
you're
off our
onto
parking
the
lot.
street.
okay.
And then if you have a tent, then you would need something. from
Right,
the fire
and that's from the fire department, okay, so, and I
Just trying
thought,
to cover all bases.
yeah, and I thought there was one, we used to have a occupancy, But since we have sprinklers now, we have a different occupancy. So it's a lot of stuff to go through right now just
Okay.
to go through that. So I appreciate it.
I believe we did fulfill some of the information by our city attorney just as well, and so I think we can move forward the approval of the
Make a motion to approve as amended,
amendment.
correct?
As amended,
With
yes.
the
With conditions set forth.
Conditions stated.
Yeah.
So,
Do we have to read out those conditions, or does it suffice for what you had already said,
Want to just
Cal?
double check us?
We have them written down.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. And Polly, you're clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that was one of the hard things. So it's
Mr. Chair, I just
Yeah.
want to say, this is a new process, and thank you for being the guinea pig on it.
sure.
It will get easier, it'll get clearer, and just, everyone can bear with us.
Okay, perfect.
so we had a second.
Second.
Second, yes.
All in favor of the approval?
Aye.
Opposed? The aye have it.
See you in November, Polly.
Awesome.
Hey, I don't want to see you anymore, gee.
Well, let's hope it's 80 degrees in November.
Right,
So that-
true.
All right, we
Good luck.
move on with
Harvest Fest.
item 27, temporary permit extension for John Star Pickles LLC, DBA Broken Star, 1100 South 60th
I believe
Street
that was
for
delayed,
June
wasn't it?
19, 21. He's here? He's here, right? No?
John Starr?
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yes.
This was going to be extended, if I recall. We spoke with them in advance, or no?
No.
No. Okay.
This was a
I'm
I believe
confused.
that's number 30, but
That's number 30,
I would
okay.
suggest that maybe you hold this one also.
Okay.
Yeah, number
Okay.
30, right?
No, number 27.
27, yes, okay. So we
Yeah.
hold that one then.
Because, Mr. Chair, I didn't see any of the authorizations with this one, and it's clearly located within 200 feet of residential buildings.
Yes.
So I would hold this one and allow the applicant to adjust that and make that.
Okay,
Okay.
very good.
Motion to hold?
Yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The aye have it. So then we like to have here item 28, temporary permit extension for the 5th District Pub Incorporation, DBA Lynch, 2300 South 108th Street. Joe,
Yes.
why are you here, Joe?
That's the theme tonight. Why are you here?
Why are you here, Joe?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yes,
Chair,
yes,
we saw Polly's, which requests a lot of customizations. This one doesn't request any customizations, so as long as the applicant is okay with keeping the noise within 200 feet of the outdoor premises, and I didn't see any residential buildings within 200 feet, and just complying with the rest of the requirements, this would be one that otherwise would go on the consent agenda in the future.
yes.
So, I don't know, and was it clear when you were with the process what rules you?
When I read that, I just assumed that everything I read, I didn't have to fill, none of that matched up with what I wanted to do, so.
Yeah, so from the mapping, you wouldn't need to, and if you agreed to comply with everything, he wouldn't have to request anything, and so this
No,
one.
I think it'll be fine. First of all, I mean, I weigh hundreds, more noise from the cars than his establishment, really.
So in the future, this will be the type of application that'll go on the
Yes.
consent agenda, then the applicants wouldn't even have to make an appearance.
Yes. Okay, very good.
Works for me.
To approve?
Yes. All in favor of the approval? So a second.
There's a second.
All in
I'll
favor?
second it.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
The aye have it.
Joe, thank you for coming in, for being an example.
Thank you, Mr. Lynch.
Aye, aye, aye.
All right, we go on to item 29. Application for transfer of a license from premise to premise of 2021 combination Class B liquor license for Uncle Fester, current location at 5732 West Mitchell Street, to the location formerly known as the TNT Sports Bar at 5906 West Burnham Street, and Uncle Fester change of agent from Daniel Roy Pratek, 3000 South 16th Street, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53215.
Good
All
evening.
right,
How are you guys tonight?
okay.
Good over here.
Good, thank you.
Good.
So why are you guys here? I mean, I want to ask you why you're here for.
Well, I'm here
I
'cause
know what you're here for.
Well, I want to tell you guys my plan of, I'm trying to go a little bit bigger with food. But it was one of my things I wanted to have. I never had a kitchen. So when the opportunity got to my attention and brought to my attention, I said, well, you guys had a little problems over there. I had a little, you know what I mean? So I want to come in front of common council, see what they say. If they give me the green light, then I'll move over there. The rent's $700 cheaper a month, and I can do food. I've talked to my neighbors. I did the whole walk. Talked to my next door neighbors. They're happy because I can do lunch for them. And then they nobody has lunch over there. So my goal is to have good burger and wings, you know, just fast food,
Sure.
bar food. But I have an opportunity where, like I said, I'm gonna save money, but yet I'm gonna make more money because I have a kitchen, which is very beneficial.
Mr. Chair?
Yes. One question.
Just for clarification, you're looking to transfer the license, so that means Uncle Fester's, as we know it, will be closing. You're going to transfer the license over to the new location? Is that what we're looking at?
No, it'd be Uncle Fester's still. I'm just moving Uncle Fester's, right?
So the,
Meaning you're just moving your
My business.
your business to a new property?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I meant. I'm sorry that I didn't say it clearly.
and just to clarify, the former location would then have no liquor license.
That's where my question was going to go. So basically, you're not going to have two establishments. You're transferring and closing your one business, but reopening in a new location, which was the former TNT.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. May I ask you, do you have any affiliation with Tina Mintos in this adventure? Okay. Those are my questions.
I used to be partners with her. That's where T came from. But that was 6 or 7 years ago when I was on National Avenue. I parted ways with her way back then.
Okay.
And I went to Uncle Fester's, and I've been there, almost 6 years now, 5.5. I've been by myself. And Kenny knows, the owner knows me. He called me. He said, "You'd be the perfect guy to come over here." You know, he bought me all new deep fryers and a new grill, and we put new ceilings in. He did all this stuff. He painted and everything for me. So I said, well, I can't do nothing until I talk to Common Council. Basically, where we're at. That's why I'm
Okay.
here.
And Mr. Chair, can I add another question now? This is just for the approval of the license. This doesn't have anything to do with the business actually opening. That has to go through a different process, or how is that working?
Mr. Chair.
Right.
So it's called a place-to-place or premises-to-premises transfer. He literally would take everything he's got currently, pick it up, drop it in a new location, leaving the former site entirely void of anything that was there before, but everything he used to have would now be at the new location.
And he can operate then?
Fully operate, get going, as long as the
Okay.
zoning is good, which I believe it is.
Okay.
He would just start, the second that he'd be approved for transfer, he would just
Okay.
start operating there the next day.
Okay, I have another question,
Yes.
Mr. Chair. The reason why I'm asking this is it's been a troubled area. It was a troubled bar, not only when TNT was in there prior to. And I guess I would have concerns in how you're going to look at mitigating that issue. And I don't know if this is the forum to discuss that. I don't know if Mintos had cameras set up as it was ordered to be.
I got 30 cameras going to go in there for outside, inside.
Okay, because I know you have good camera set.
Yeah, well, they come to me all the time for cameras, but this is going to be the same thing. I'm going to operate the same way, but the only thing different I'm doing is I'm getting a bigger building, and I'm going to have food, and the rent's going to be cheaper, and that's kind of where I'm going to
Sounds like a win-win for you.
It was. When he told me $700 cheaper a month, I was like, okay, let me talk to Common Council. I got to fix my own problems first. They show them
Okay.
you understand where I'm going with this conversation.
I do, and thank you. And when would you make this move?
Well, I would start, once I get the okay, I'd start finishing the remodeling, because I didn't put the cameras in yet, because why would I waste the money?
Right.
It's going to be a $4,000 investment on my part, but that's a good investment. But until you guys give me the okay, I'd have the camera guys in there tomorrow, put the system in before I go back on the road. I would, I don't have much to do, except, I guess inspections. I don't know if I have to get inspections. I don't know how that works with a transfer, because I know it's coming up. Inspections are coming up again, so I don't know what I'd have to do.
Well, inspection will come up again. Yes.
Mr. Chair, as a new occupant in the building, you likely
Yeah.
would still want to contact Ben's and get that taken care of for
Okay, see,
inspections.
that's where I'm confused, because I never did this
Yep.
part before.
Isn't your new occupant, so I'd still contact Ben to double check it. And then the second part is, all he'd have to declare is the date on which he's transferring it. So
Okay.
he could start building out the new location and still operate the old location, but then at some point in time, he has to tell the clerks, all right, I'm transferring as of this date. And that's when he has to shut down whatever happens at the old location, and he can start the new one.
I didn't get 30-day notice anyway, because I don't have at least a month. So I would ask the Common Council for 30 days to get, because I got to move everything. I got to call electricity company. I got to do all this. You know what I mean? So
Mr.
Yes.
Chair, you wouldn't have to commit to a certain timeline even. It just is at your timeline. When you're going to move, you tell the clerks.
Right.
It would be
Okay.
either, it could be whenever it's good for you, but you just have to let the clerks know the date you're going to transfer.
okay.
How long have you been in business, sir?
Well, I did 2 years over here with her, or a year and a half, and then Me and my girlfriend opened that up before she passed away, so I've been there 6 years. Will be November. Finished my 6th year in November.
6 years. Any problems at all with your bar?
One we took care of it though. We addressed the situation. And another thing I want to tell you guys, very limited with music. That's another thing I want to bring.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
That you
So-
turn it down
Yeah,
at
and
a
I've been,
certain time.
and my goal is, I don't need to stay up until 11, 12. And I can't say it's not going to happen, because if I can get a pool team or a dart team, when the times are tough in winter, I'm going to, but usually 11, 11:30, we're out of there. And that's just, I don't need to be open late. That's how you get yourself in trouble.
Okay.
You know, I'm not saying weekends that I don't stay up until 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, because people stay out a little later, but normally I'm out of there by 11 o'clock.
Okay.
So he's going to be kind of your assistant.
He's been with me since day one. And he was with me on National Avenue. He followed me over to Mitchell Street, so he knows me.
I'm trying to be positive, pro-con, problems, you leave it. Sorry, tonight we're closing. We have problems in the bar, we're going to close. We don't want the problems. We're going to try to work with everybody and make sure that it's a clean area and a good bar to run.
And then I want to make sure that you guys will maintain not just the inside. The inside got to be maintained.
And the outside, keep
The
it
outside.
clean, clean the
That-
curb.
That's most thing is got to be done, I believe, on a daily basis, because then you keep your neighbors happy.
Oh, exactly.
Previously, there was an
Nothing done there.
existent ongoing problem with the messy between the buildings, you know, and the back, and I mean, that was not really a good.
Yes, I've
good
talked to Dylan.
situation, you know. So I would
there's,
appreciate that, to keep
Already,
people
there's Dylan Liquor. The bar just opened up. We talked to them. We're going to all do a cleaning sweep maybe once a month to make sure all the trash, if something major happens out there, and keep our front part of our store, as Uncle Fester should say, tavern, and keep it clean.
That's a good idea to network.
Promises, as being the agent, Tim is on the road driving truck. I will make sure and positive that this stuff is maintained for use.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So hopefully we'll live up to that, you know, because many people, by the time they come forward, you know, by stating the fact that's what they're going to do, and then they don't, you know.
And
But
you
I
can
hope
talk to
keep that-
Tim. I'm a
you keep
very
me
clean
happy,
freak.
you know, and I can relax more. So,
Mr. Chair?
yes.
Is there, if there's not any other questions, I would feel comfortable making a motion to approve.
Second.
Just,
All in favor of the motion?
Discussion.
Aye.
Oh,
Any more discussion?
Oh,
What's that?
You want to say
Discussion.
more
something?
discussion?
Yes.
Yeah.
This would be subject still to necessary approvals, right? Because he's still got to get the building inspector in there once it's a new, or am I wrong?
So the subject to necessary approvals is one of those things that really doesn't have a place in law. Because the license approval is done as of this point in time, and if he moves in and
Okay.
doesn't get the proper inspections, he's going to be in trouble with bins. It'll be a whole separate issue.
right.
License will be issued, but he won't be able to operate because bins will tell him that he can't
Well,
operate.
and that's where I'm confused with this. This is a fine line I never walked before.
So this is the big step, is getting approval from the committee for the license transfer.
Yes.
And the next thing, you'd work directly with the building inspection department
Well,
to
they
get
got it
your
right there.
permits.
They got with
That'd be my first phone call tomorrow.
Right.
Okay.
So there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Yeah, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed? The aye have it.
Good luck
Thank
to
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you
You guys
both.
have a good
evening.
All right.
Item 30 is on hold, correct?
So then I take it all of this
I thought
is
it's on
approved
hold.
as me as the agent as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Take care.
Congratulations. Good luck.
So we're holding number 30, so
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye. Thank you all.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for all the confusing questions.
We'll call the Common Council back to order. I will ask the clerk to take a roll call.
Alderperson Grisham.
Here.
Haas.
Here.
Keen.
Here.
Lysick.
Here.
Reinke.
Here.
Rote. Stefanski.
Here.
Tenorio.
Here.
Vitale.
Here.
Weigel.
Here.
10 present.
A quorum is present. We will begin with the Administration and Finance Committee, which is chaired by Alderman Haas, and I will ask the clerk to read that report out.
The Administration and Finance Committee recommended placing on file item number 17.
Move for approval of the committee report.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on item 17? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries. Next up is the Public Works Committee, chaired by Alderman Rote. I will ask the clerk to read out that report.
The Public Works Committee recommended placing on file items 19 and 20.
I move in accordance of the committee report, Mayor Devine.
We have a motion to approve. Any discussion on the Public Works Committee report? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries. Next up, we have the Safety and Development Committee, which is chaired by Alderman Lysick. I will ask the clerk to read out that report.
The Safety and Development Committee recommended approval of items 21, 23, 24, and 25.
I move for approval of the committee report.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Any discussion? There is no discussion. I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Alderperson Grisham.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
Keen.
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
Reinke.
Aye.
Rote.
Aye.
Stefanski.
Aye.
Tenorio.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
10 in favor, 0 opposed.
Motion carries. And next up, the License and Health Committee, which is chaired by Alderman Vitale. And I will ask the clerk to read out that report.
The License and Health Committee recommended approval of item 26 with conditions, items 28 and 29.
Mr. Mayor, I move for approval of the committee report.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move that we adjourn until our next regularly scheduled meeting, Tuesday, May 18th at 7 p.m.
Second.
There is a motion with a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.
That and voice vote.